Miss Carlisle sings an old favorite, the title, When You're Away.
Though time may let us sometimes forget until we're but aside, the memories of a passionate love, an orphan cold and die. For me there still can be but you, some weal of woe, my love is true. A dear one, if you only knew my heart when you're away. When you're away, dear, how weary the lonesome hours. Sunshine seems gray, dear, the fragrance has left the flowers. Ever I hear you in singing, sweet strings of love wave to me. If I never but dreaming, near to thee. Then when you're near me, there's naught that I strive to do, save to endear me more fondly my love to you. Never again let us part, dear. I die without you, my own. Hold me again in your arms. I love you alone. Love you, my own.
Oh, that was marvelous, Kitty.
Oh, why, Kitty Carlisle, you sweet thing.
Hello, Frank.
You've done, but you're looking wonderful. Did you make that dress yourself?
Frank.
What?
Miss Carlisle is wearing a dress created exclusively for her by one of the country's leading designers.
What difference does it make, Bob, as long as Frank likes it?
Oh, that's right, darling. I'd love you in an old flour sack. Of course, that dress you're wearing isn't exactly what I'd choose for you myself.
Oh, no?
Well, I think you could cut the gimp a little lower. You know, emphasize the jabot.
Oh, I see.
Yes. Then I'd get rid of this flouncing here and gather it up with a nice cross-basting stitch so you get more of a flare from the hip line to the knee. That'll sort of give you a London derriere.
Frank. Why don't you stop all this talk?
Young, you're interrupting the flow of ideas between a couturier and his client. Will you step into the fitting room, Miss Carlisle?
Frank, I'm sorry, but gee, as near as I can tell, there's nothing you like about my costume.
Well, don't be silly, Kitty. I'm simply mad about your bustle.
Bustle?
Frank.
What?
You don't know what you're talking about.
Well,
Miss Carlisle isn't wearing a bustle.
It is. Well, Kitty will do very well to listen to my advice, because I happen to be the leading dress designer of Paris, France.
What about Schiaparelli?
Well, I don't care for Italian food, and don't change the subject. Kitty, if you'll drop over to the house some evening, I'll design a little. I'll whip
Frank.
up what?
This has gone far enough.
No.
It might interest you to know that Miss Carlisle is wearing a dress in which she was awarded the title of Best Dressed All-American Girl of 1939 by the American Fashion Academy.
The Mr. Academy. Well, chacun a son goût.
I know, Frank, and not only that, and also don't forget.
Yes.
La nuit, tous les chats sont gris.
You speak French, too. Well, I guess I better be going. I have an appointment with my hairdresser, and I've got...
Go, Frank. I'm really interested in your fashion ideas.
Oh.
Do you know much about fabrics?
My dear girl, you're talking to the world's biggest fabricator. There's something, that's not the word I had in mind.
It'll doodle a better one comes along. Listen, Kitty, Frank doesn't know moire from rep.
Well, it's true my principal interest is not in dressing women. On the contrary, I am an authority on correct dress for men. You don't happen to know anything about that, do you?
Oh, yes. You see, I edited a man's style magazine for 3 years.
You did. I must say, Kitty, darling, you're being very troublesome.
I'm sorry, Frank.
Oh, don't pay any attention to Clothes Horse Morgan. He doesn't know what he's talking about.
Young, is it true that you're the style advisor for the Dead End Kids? Kitty, I wish you could have seen me when I was the style leader of London.
I wish I could, too, Frank.
Oh, I used to stroll down Savile Row on a Sunday morning with my silk topper at just the correct angle, my trousers breaking 3/4 of an inch above my instep, and in my buttonhole a fragrant scarlet pimpernel.
I can smell it now.
How the girls would swoon when I twitched my coattails and twirled my malacca.
You carried a cane?
When I was able.
Oh!
Boys, I'm not going to stand here and listen to things like that anymore. I'll see you later.
Well, I don't blame you. She's really a lovely girl, isn't she? I mean, it's too bad about her clothes.
Oh, Frank, I wish you wouldn't carry on like this. Savile Row, setting the styles in London.
Of course I did. Did you ever hear of the Ascot herringbone?
Well, what about it?
Well, its vogue started with a herringbone suit I wore one afternoon in the Royal Enclosure at Ascot.
Yeah.
The following week, I wore a double-breasted pinstripe to the Grand National, which at once became popular as the Aintree stripe. Then I wore a sport suit and a pepper and salt pattern to the Derby at Epsom.
It's now known as Epsom salt.
I can't take that, Young. Did you ever hear of unfinished... Did you ever hear of unfinished worsted?
Yes?
Well, I finished it. I'm not going to hang around here and be insulted by
wait
a
a
man
minute,
who
wait a minute, Frank. What were you doing in London, anyway?
I've told you hundreds of times what I did in London.
I know, and every time it was different. What's the lie today?
Now, let me think. I mean, let me remember.
All right, your time is up. What were you doing in London?
What was I? London, Dilly. Whitehall, Scotland Yard. Scotland Yard! Scotland Yard, of course.
You struck oil, folks. Here we go. Frank, are we to understand that you were connected in some way with Scotland Yard?
Inspector Morgan, sir. The celebrated hero of the case of the missing spark plug and the affair of the Cheltenham dentist and the Shrimpus and Rice murder mystery.
Well, tell us about the dentist, Frank. I just had my teeth cleaned today.
That's a remarkable coincidence. Well, the dentist's case was not without interest. He was married to a beautiful manicurist.
Gee, my dentist married a manicurist. What a coincidence.
Yes. Well, this dentist and his wife were constantly bickering.
They fought, huh?
Tooth and nail. I was called into the case when the manicurist's body was discovered in a trunk on the Thames. I immediately suspected murder.
What a ghastly crime. Who done it?
Who did it?
I don't know. Didn't you find out?
No, I was obliged to resign from the force. I had made up my mind to return to America, but my plans were altered by a visit I received late one night in my Baker Street lodgings.
Who was it, Sherlock?
A beautiful young lady, strictly Mayfair in a Limehouse sort of a way.
Well, what did she want, Frank?
Well, it seems that her brother had been receiving threatening letters, and she wanted me to talk to him, so I met her the next day at the Islington Stadium.
Islington Stadium?
Yes, there was a football match in progress, and I had to sit through it all, answering her insipid questions about the game.
Soccer?
No, but I felt like it once or twice. Oh, you mean the game? No, it was rugger.
Frank.
Yes.
What were you doing at a football game, anyway?
Well, I found out the girl's brother was the star center forward for the Tottenham Hotspurs, and that his team was to play an important match the following day with the Milford Arsenals.
I don't understand this, Frank, but gee, it's interesting.
A gambling syndicate had threatened this boy's life if he didn't throw the game. Well, you know what a threat like that does to a man with my sporting instincts.
No, what?
Well, I made up my mind to protect the boy. The next day at game time, I put on the lad's jersey and marched onto the field with the rest of the Tottenham Hotspurs. At any moment, I expected to be picked off by a sniper in the stand, but I was cool as a cucumber.
Go on, Frank.
Well, the Arsenals kicked off. I received the ball and fumbled. To make a long story short, I played through the whole game with the courage of a lion, but very little skill. I lost the game for the Hotspurs and returned to the dressing room to find my client shot through the head. It was ghastly.
What a day.
Yes.
You played a horrible game, your team lost, and the client was killed right under your nose.
Yes, I could. Oh, well, I could have stood all that, but the final blow wrecked my life.
What was that?
Well, the bookie ran off with the money I bet on the other team. So long, fellas.